it has since exploded into a behemoth. And when I say behemoth, there are over 100 million daily active users of Reddit. It is the
Mhm.
seventh most visited website daily globally. And if you've been there, it covers every topic. It has unbelievably awesome information. It has unbelievably horrible information. And guess what? AI overviews pulls from all of it. Hey everybody, it's Alan and Victoria from Blue 7 Content, and we're going to talk to you today about something very topical and important, and that's AI overviews, back to AI, but and Reddit. I want to talk about how AI overviews and Reddit intermingle with one another and what that means for not just law firms, but for businesses in general. So, Victoria, what do you know about Reddit?
So, Reddit, let's go back a couple years. So, Reddit, I think, was this kind of like sub universe, right? Almost like a Discord. Um, people, it wasn't a vastly used site. It was really for niche topics. And it also had this reputation of you can find the truth on Reddit, right?
Mm,
If you had I know I used Reddit a lot when I was job hunting. So if I found, this is even before going into law firms, when I was still teaching at university, I would look
yeah,
at different departments and I would look on Reddit to see if anyone had worked there before. It was almost like a better form of Glassdoor, because
right.
Glassdoor was paywalled.
Hmm.
So and I just didn't feel like dealing with that. So Reddit
And
became
Glass Wall wasn't necessarily anonymized. You can be more anonymous on Reddit and get better
yes,
feedback from people who are willing to be honest.
yes. And then I remember Quora coming in and Quora
Mhm.
trying to be like Reddit and Quora wanting to be this query database essentially. So and I mean maybe it has launched off, I don't know. It did show up before the AI review came. Sometimes it would pop up. But anyway, yeah. So Reddit kind of had this reputation of trustworthiness, but it is also like a Wikipedia because anonymous users go on there and they give the information. Even though it had this air or has this air of where you can find real feedback about a thing, at the end of the day, it's still anonymous users that are inputting this information. It also has a reputation of where you can go down rabbit holes for conspiracy theories.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's really important to note as well, because as I'm sure you're going to bring up, Reddit is a huge source of information for AI review, and there's some
Right.
issues with that.
So, yeah, just to give everybody a little background on Reddit, there's probably not too many people who haven't heard of Reddit, but if you haven't been over there in a while, it probably looks very different from when you first may have heard about it. It actually started in 2005. Like, this is one of the early forums that people could use, but it has since exploded into a behemoth. And when I say behemoth, there are over 100 million daily active users of Reddit. It is the
Mhm.
seventh most visited website daily globally. And if you've been there, it covers every topic. It has unbelievably awesome information. It has unbelievably horrible information. And guess what? AI overviews pulls from all of it. And well, I will bring it back into the AI overviews because I think a lot of people have a misconception that when we talk about AI overviews, we're mainly talking about Google, right? So they have, that introduced AI overviews last year, very controversial. It has given false information, and when you start digging into the why, not only can it hallucinate, but it's also getting information from these user-generated sources, like Reddit, like Quora. Quora is another big one that it pulls from, but it does pull from Reddit more, and that, I think, is a big issue because unfortunately, a lot of people are taking this and thinking that it's only pulling from the same search engine sources that they were used to, and
Yes.
we grew up with thinking that, Google was pretty reputable, and yeah, you had to sort through the sources, but we trusted. Now the trust has since gone out the window. But no, what do you think? When someone types in a query and they get an answer, what do you think about the responses that they're getting and the fact that it could be coming right from Reddit?
So this is really interesting, and I'm gonna get a little tangential before I get specific. So back in our day, right? Because 2010 was actually the first year when a smartphone came out, okay? So, like,
Right,
not that
iPhone days.
long ago. So, when we were learning the internet, right, there was no query search. It was keyword search, and you would use, I wanna say bouillon cubes, but that's not correct. But it's the Boolean, that was it, the Boolean search with, like, the plus and the
Yep,
minuses and the parentheses and stuff. We
yep.
we learned how to search that way. And, I learned, because I was in academia, how to search that way in databases that were closed. So closed databases which had, academic articles, that's where that search engine was
And
pulling
when
from.
Victoria, just so anybody knows, when we're talking like that's below the typical surface internet. This is on not the dark web, but you have the surface level, the deep web, which includes the academic databases that Victoria is talking about that take specialized knowledge and access to.
So I'm talking like a JSTOR.
Hmm.
I'm talking about like what the national um there's a one that we use for biology and medicine and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So anyway, but you can go to these specific, and they cost hundreds of dollars. For law, Lexis, right? Lexis, Westlaw, Reuters,
Right.
Bloomberg. You pay to get these databases. So I'm bringing that all up because there was that shift that happened, right, where people started to use queries in Google, and Google
Hmm.
was in it of itself taking out the ands, thes, thises, that way you didn't have to do
Yeah.
that. It replaced the plus signs that we were using um in that
It's
type
a
of
smarter search. It became a
it's a
smarter
smarter
search.
search, yeah. And then I remember having to do how excuse me, these databases, right, like Alexis, also started to switch to query. So
Hmm.
I'm like, okay, smarter search. Very cool. Um, but the thing is, when it came to those isolated databases, like you knew you could trust that information on a query base when it popped up a type of AI review because it was a very limited scope of information that it was curating from and it
Right.
was taking information from. Now, imagine you're in an ocean, a vast ocean, and you drop a query, and it's almost like a magnet, and it just sucks up anything that's in the
Mm.
area. Now, you can see how, like, if this magnet's going down and it's sucking up everything, not all of it's going to be relevant. But I think what's scary is that when we had that, we could parse through the information ourselves by scrolling through and going into different pages,
Yeah.
right? We could analyze it ourselves. Well, now we're depending on AI to analyze it for us. So we're just seeing this, bunch of crap repurposed and repackaged into something that sounds confident. And
Mm.
half that stuff may not even be right because it's not in a closed system, it's in a very open system, and that's what I think about Reddit. It's like dropping the query into the ocean, and whatever gets sucked into it is what gets presented to you. And it's really about the user's discernment. And I know that can be a whole nother video about trying to understand and teach that discernment and critical thinking. But that's what I'm seeing, and that's what's um some answers are obviously the more specific the query, the more specific the answer. Or like for instance, if you say, how old is Leonardo DiCaprio? right?
Yep.
I mean, that's pretty easy. There's not a lot of,
Question and
you know,
answer. There's not deep thinking that needs to
there's
happen
not deep
there. It's
thinking
just
there,
cool,
right? Like,
cool.
it's just a number, it's consistent on every site, you know what I mean? But if you start to ask it more open-ended questions, like, how do we feel about, this policy? You're gonna
Mhm.
get a breadth of answers that's
You might
going
get
to.
stuff from where the policymakers themselves, but you also might get opinions from Joe Schmo down the road about that policy, and now
Correct.
that's showing up in your AI overviews. Let me throw this out at you. I got some numbers I found. Um, Studies have shown that Google users are less likely to click on links when an AI summary appears in the results. We all knew that was going to be a thing. Now,
Correct.
AI does give little links in the results. The problem
Yes, it
is
does.
people are still not click. They're taking the answers as fact. And people feel like they're getting the answer from the AI overview when in reality they might not know where that's coming from. And here's the other wrinkle, and this we'll talk about this and then wrap it up. Some studies suggest that 50% of Reddit responses could come from bots and even AI. So, are we talking about AI overviews gathering from a major user generated content source that may be bots at some bot farm or AI itself or AI and bots? So who really is it? It's even less reputable at that point. So there's just so much that people have to think about. And the reason Victoria and I made this video today is because we want you, one, whether you're a law firm or another business, to what you need to know Reddit exists. And I already have an idea for another video about how attorneys can engage with Reddit to their SEO benefit.
For sure.
But that's besides this. I want everybody to know now that these AI overviews are more the more we dig in, the more troubling the issues become. And I don't know how we stop this rapid fall into an unverified information world. We've watched it happen since uh I have I even got this out. I got the DeLorean from Back to the Future out because I want to go back to a time when the internet didn't suck. And shitification has been happening so quickly, and it's
Yeah.
with the speed that AI can further and shitify things, including Reddit, which infiltrates into the AI overviews, and that it
Yes.
infiltrates into the information that your brother, sister, mom, dad, partner are telling you because now you're arguing over facts that don't even exist. Uh,
Yes.
so keep that in mind, y'all. We're gonna continue to bring you information about these kinds of things because this directly impacts you as a business and how you get information out there. But we'll have another video at some point about how to actually use Reddit because it's there, seventh most visited site in the world. You got to start thinking about a Reddit strategy.
Yes.
Might not be all that in depth, but anyway, thank you everybody for coming by. Like and subscribe. We've been doing pretty good.
It's
We are
my
consistent. So we will
it's my
reward
favorite
you
part of the video.
subscribe because it's her favorite part of the video. So anyway, everybody, y'all have a great afternoon or morning or whenever you're watching this.